Rick Guinotte, an experienced optometric professional, has been entrenched in the field since 1989, holding various roles ranging from technician to territory director. With a rich background overseeing 18 practices and managing over 120 employees, Rick transitioned to an advisory role in 2009 and founded Acquios Advisors in 2015. He's been instrumental in assisting optometric practices in achieving growth, enhancing efficiencies, fostering team dynamics, and setting strategic goals. Rick's expertise extends to all phases of a practitioner's career, from launching new practices to exceeding revenue targets, adding associates, and devising exit strategies.
Hello there, one and all. Welcome to another video update here from Rick, myself, Acquios Alliance, Acquios Advisors, here to just kind of talk through some of the things that are kind of hot topics that are happening in offices around the country right now. And one of the biggest things I'm finding, especially with the number of moms who are doctors and trying to balance a professional career with their personal life and find that work-life balance for their children, is how do I make the most of my time while I'm at the office but leave it as much behind as possible? And one of the questions I ask people to consider and weigh out when they're present that question to me is, how much work are you having to do in the office? Because your kids, I'll say it right now, your kids are only young once, and you want to make sure that you're able to spend the quality time with them in those formative years and all. So there is a way to find that work-life balance, but it's very, you have to be willing to delegate some of the work off to other people. And I challenge people to look at the idea of bringing on a manager for your office, somebody who can be your right hand, so that you don't have to be in the office 5-6 days a week if your office is open that many days. And quite honestly, most offices are only open 5 days a week anymore, Monday through Friday. So that has helped matters a bit. But even still, while you're in the office, if you're the owning partner of the practice or owning doctor of the practice, and you're having to do all the paperwork, all the HR, manage the staff, have conversations, in addition to patient care 4 days or 5 days a week that you're in the practice, you're going to be pretty exhausted by the end of the week. And that's where it's important that you look at your office and ask yourself, where are we? Where are we going? What can we get to? What do I need to be able to have a better balance? And the question becomes is, do I need a manager? And I think, quite honestly, if you have more than 4 or 5 employees in your office, it's probably a good idea to be considering looking at an office. Because if you have 4 or 5 employees in your office, you're doing somewhere between $700,000 and $950,000 a year. And you're in that clinic from the time you walk in the door to the time you walk out the door. And your staff needs to have that person in their presence to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, making sure they're being productive, they're taking care of patients, they're following through on everything that you expect of them to do, and you're not having to hope they're doing what you're doing. I was in some offices recently, and they have managers in place, but quite honestly, the managers are not managing, to be honest with you. They're glorified workers. And you have to be careful of that. You have to be careful of, if you're going to bring a manager in to be your right hand or left hand person in the office when you're there, you have to make sure that you recognize what your goals are, and that's to alleviate some of the work-life stress balance that you're experiencing, and being able to delegate things back to the manager that you put in place. So you need to empower that person. And too often people are not empowering people that they call managers. I will put a little plug in here for our executive management program. It's a 6-month program. It's phenomenal. It teaches people how to identify who they are as a person, to be able to understand who they are, what they're about, to be able to have the right management style there. We teach them how to do time management, a key element. To be able to be a successful manager is being able to identify my day, what I need to have done each day of the week, what has to be done by certain days of the week, so that come weekend I can, one can kind of step back and be okay and have that balanced life. Just like you want it, your manager's going to want it too. So that program, by the way, goes on for about 6 months. And it's about every 3 or so weeks we have regular meetings with that person you're developing with the manager. So those of you who already have a manager in place, I strongly encourage you to go to our website and learn more about the Executive Management Program. There's information on our website for that. So you need to identify that leader you have in the office and make sure you're empowering them. You empower them to be your right and left hand, like I keep saying. That means if they want to hire somebody for the office, obviously you're understanding the financial ramifications. If they're going to hire somebody or they're interviewing for people and they find the right person, we have a need to have that employee, that they're empowered to do so. By the same token, if they are in a situation where they have a staff member that's not doing well for them and not performing, and they've gone through all the proper steps that you require in your office for coaching, counseling to improve a person, they need to be empowered to terminate that person. You might say, I need a heads up on it, but you need to be able to support their decision, because holding on to that negative person, that poor performer, can many times negatively impact the practice. So if you hold the manager back from taking care of a bad situation to make it better for the rest of the team, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt, because that person will become toxic and cause more problems to the other people. You'll scratch your head wondering, why are things going backwards, and it could come back to you. So empowerment is key to having a quality leader, a quality manager in your office, to be able to get things done and get it off your back. So understanding what goals you have for the manager, what expectations you have for your manager, what you want them to have done by specific periods of times, you're going to delegate those things off to them, so that you're not having to play the mother to your children at home, the mother to your kids, your employees at work, and doing it all yourself. So if you want them to be part of the financial management, have them be part of the financial management. Don't dabble in things with them. And obviously inspect what you expect, but make sure it's clear what you want of them to do each month, each week, each day, so that they can then report back to you. And that's key, report back to you. Far too often, offices, again, will have managers in them, but the managers themselves are they just go about their day. There's not a meeting between the owning doctor and the manager. And it's important that you guys have regular meetings with your managers to make sure that you can follow up on things that you know are happening, they're supposed to be working on. You find out what their completion dates are on certain things. What's the progress for that? But also, what are the upcoming challenges that we have? Right now, as this is being recorded, we're at the tail end of the month of May. What's going to start happening next month? Vacation times. You, the owner, need to know how many people are going to be on vacation at certain times of the year. And I'm not saying just in the next couple months, throughout the year, plan ahead. It might align where you go, man, the manager tells you we've got 3 people that all want this same week off. And that manager's thinking, oh my gosh, how do I say no to these people? I'm not saying this will work out every time, but there might come a point where the manager says, hey, we've got this issue the first week of August, we've got this happening, that happening, or the last week of July. This person's got a family reunion, this person has this person has that. The doctor, the doctor might say, you know what? That actually works out perfect, because I was going to take that week off myself. Problem alleviated, right? Now it makes it easy. So look at those types of things. Make sure you're having regular meetings once a week. It doesn't have to be long. 30-minute conversation. 30-minute conversations say, where are we right now? How's the office doing? What challenges do we have? What action plans do we have to put in place in order to make things better? We're planning ahead. We're looking ahead. We have our vision. We're looking ahead to figure out what we can do to make things better. And then, again, like I said just a few minutes ago, we need to follow up on the past action plans. Okay, what's the progress on X, Y, and Z? It could be for a marketing event. It could be for our back to school campaign. Yes, it's the end of May and I'm talking back to school already. That's because June's gonna fly through, July will be here, and before you know it, the kids will be back in the classroom. So that's only 8-9 weeks away. You need to be planning those types of things ahead. So again, those of you who don't have time to plan, you might be the right person for the to have a candidate to have that office manager in place. How do you find an office manager? That's the tough part. Do you promote the person who's been here the longest? Do you look outside the organization to bring a manager from the outside in? How do you trust that person with the key to your office that's doing $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, $2+ million a year or more, to say, here you go, I've only had these interviews with you, but now I'm giving you the keys to the palace, and I expect you to take care of everything. You have to do your due diligence. You need to make sure that you're looking, for the right person. Some people are lucky enough to have the person right in their office already. You have that person who is just a go-getter. They have the leadership skills. It's clear the staff acclimates to that person and follows that person to see what they're doing, how they're doing it. That person communicates well with people in a positive light. The people have respect for them. If you have somebody in your office that has good time management skills, displays the same work ethic that you're looking for in a manager, that might be the right person. But you need to make sure that they cross every T, they dotted every I, that they are going to be the mirror image of you. Because you've heard me say it, you want somebody who's going to be your right and left hand when you're out in the office. So if they're not making it now, they're not going to be any different 3 months, 6 months, or a year from now, just with a job title, okay? It has to be somebody that understands their work-life or balance as well as their time management skills. They need to understand how to prioritize their day. And a good manager, a great manager, will always lead by example. So people that think a manager should sit in their office for 32, 35 of the 40 hours they're in the office, that's not true. A great manager is out in the office, circulating throughout the patient production cycle, following through to see how the front desk is doing. Are we getting everybody checked in? Who's that? What's that patient here for? What's that person here for? If that person can't tell you what they're here for, they need to get up from the front desk and go find out. Okay, the only way a manager's going to know that if they're not checking people in correctly is if they go check on what the front desk is doing. Just like I said, you doctors need to have regular meetings with your managers to make sure they're following through on what you want. Well, the manager has to do the same thing with the staff. So it starts there at the front desk, checking on everything going right, make sure their appointment book is scheduled correctly. By correctly, not putting in 3 80-plus-year-old patients back to back to back, filling it with lesser plans that you might accept in your office. Are they making sure each day is going to be profitable? Are they spreading out the patients like they should be, so we're not slammed in the morning, slammed at night, and we have all this dead space in the middle of the day if you're in a slower office? How are they making sure the balance is there? You need to make sure you have a person that's thinking strategically. The manager is going to have to be the person to teach them to do that, because quite honestly, with the medical model in place in most optometric practices, you don't have time to manage the front desk to the degree that it needs attention. And the manager can't be in their office away from the thick of things. They need to be up at the front desk, and they need to walk that patient production cycle 3 to 4 times every day to make sure they can catch the staff doing things right and pat them on the back. But if they do catch something that went awry, something not going quite right, that's when they need to step in and say, hey, I understand I understand why this happened. What can we do to fix it in the future? The manager goes silent, lets the employee answer. Let the employee come up with the answer to how to fix it so that it doesn't happen again. If they own the error, they'll fix the error going forward. So don't just tell them. That manager has to be somebody who's going to nurture somebody and recognize mistakes happen and not come down hard on them. Leadership it's a skill set. It's something learned over time. So you have to be patient with somebody that you might promote from within as they grow. So you might not call them an office manager right away. You might do it in stair steps. You might say, okay, I want you to be the clinic supervisor. and be over the front desk in the clinic. Keep optical off their plate. That's still two areas of the office now that you're getting off of your back as the owner, but now you're able to pull in to just take care of the optical for a while until that person gets comfortable managing the clinic side of things, and then they manage the optical side. And that, and a good manager, even though it might be somebody we promote from within, that was a great front desk person, a great tech, or great tech and great front desk person, they may not know optical. And that's okay. As a manager, it's okay to be vulnerable. So if you have somebody in your office that kind of matches to what I just described, it might be one of those situations where you tell them, okay, I'm ready now to put you in over the whole office, but you need to learn optical. That's where that person is going to have to go to that key optician, that great optician that can train, and say, I'm excited to now take on this additional responsibility to become the whole office manager. I recognize the skills you have, the knowledge you have, and I want you to teach me to be as much like you as possible. That doesn't mean the person's going to be invincible. It just means that person's getting complimented, and the manager's saying, I need your help to learn this. I'm excited to learn how to do this and be able to grow with you. So there's nothing wrong with that. Nobody should be expected to know everything all the time forever. That's impossible. Everything changes and evolves almost as fast as these lens vendors come up with new progressive lenses all the time. So that's if you're going to promote from within. If you have to go outside the organization, which I'll tell you, I put Mary, I won't say her last name, through the ringer. It was on her, not her second, not her third, not her fourth interview. It was on her fifth interview that I made her come in for. She was going to be the first person that I ever hired outside to join our company to become an office manager. We prided ourselves for years of promoting people from within and teaching people how to manage the offices. And unfortunately, we had grown significantly that our talent pool went from being 10 feet deep, where it was safe to dive, to about 3-4 feet deep. And if we pulled too many more people from other existing offices, we were going to be in trouble. We were going to break our necks and we'd be in a bad situation. So what we ended up having, what I had to do is I had to go outside, and I found Mary. Mary was awesome. But on the fifth interview, she sits down across my desk and she says to me, she goes, so one of two things are going to happen today. You're going to hire me, or this is our last conversation. So with that being said, why have you not decided to hire me yet? And I looked her in the eye and I said, Mary, I've only met you 4 other times. We've met for 45 minutes to an hour. You did a job shadow for 3 hours following one of the interviews. You had everything great to say, but I'm scared to death to hand you a key to an office that does $1.6 million. You could steal from us, and I don't have trust in you. And she right away looked at me and she goes, nor should you trust me. You're right, you don't know me well, but have faith in me and I'll prove to you I'm going to be a great manager for you. She was an amazing manager for me. And it kind of took her to kind of say, you shouldn't. It's okay not to trust somebody. But she was the first manager, again, that I went outside our organization to hire in and bring into an office. And she ended up being an area manager within probably 2 years with me. She was phenomenal. So don't hesitate to go outside your organization and find somebody that aligns with what you're looking for, but challenge them and make sure that you ask the right questions on how they work with other people, how do they train, how do they develop others within the office, because what you don't want to do is have your office ever become stagnant. The goal to bringing a manager into your practice, again, is to be able to delegate and get work off your back to other people, but you still need to hold them accountable. And if you do this, you're going to find it won't be so hard to own your own business, balance your personal life, spend time with your children, whether you're a mother, father, OD owner of a practice, it doesn't matter. Your kids are only young once. Take advantage of the time you have. Live within your means, create your budget, make your life good, and have somebody else in your office to help empower the team to grow and do everything that you wanted it to do, so you can be successful not just for your patients, but for your family as well. And with that, I wish you all a great day, and thank you for tuning in to another one of our videos. Thank you very much. Okay, these are getting easier.
Pretty good.
Not bad for writing that an hour ago. Is it okay? Pacific Artisans Lab is planning to be there. Weave is going to be there, and a few other frame vendors that I'm talking to that will be joining us as well. So we look forward to having multiple and seeing more vendors there. There's quite the lineup of vendors already listed and signed up for it. In fact, we're going to be doing some exciting things to help get people there to keep the costs down, so you're not having to pay a lot to get there. Keep an eye open for emails in your inbox or on social media for us to be able to help promote and help you get to the Denver event against June 13th and 14th. But what's unique about this is it's a lot of independents, a lot of people there looking to help provide a great product and a great service for you, and be able to, for you and your patients. But also there's going to be great CE there. They've got great speakers coming in. So you COPA-approved speakers, so doctors, you're going to be able to get your events, but make sure you're walking the hallways at the event so you're able to meet the vendors that are going to be there. I'll be there. Tim Merrigan will be there as well to greet you at the door. Again, we're one of the major sponsors at the event, so we're looking forward to seeing that. Bring your team. Look for new products that are available. We hope to see some other vendors, like I said, from the Acquios Alliance signing up for that as well to participate and really be able to show people all we can be. And if you don't know about Pacific Artisans Lab, it's a pretty cool lab with some very unique structure to it. Brandon is a great guy, CEO and president of Pacific Artisans Lab. Just to give him a nice little plug, they have their main lab right now is out in Portland, Oregon. They have another lab in Denver, and then they're going to be opening another lab in Chicago. They do great work. I've got multiple clients using them. Their service is good, their product is good, their pricing is great, and again, they have some very cool things that they're going to be happening with their lab to really partner with private practices specifically, and the products they carry, and they're also in network with many vision plans. So I'm going to give a little bit of time there to Brandon and his team out there in Oregon. But again, look at these events. You're going to see more independent shows popping up. They might not be as big as the expos, but I'll tell you, they're going to bring a lot of value to you and your team. So be looking out for those. We're going to help to market those because, as everybody knows, Acquios Advisors was founded on the basis of helping private practitioners be successful. We have our Thrive with Confidence podcast to help people learn more. We have our newsletters that go out regularly. We really are here to help people and help you. So look for those so you can help build your brand. And let's talk about your brand. Your practice is your brand, whether you're Lifetime Eye Care, a Blink Eye Care, Precision Eye Group, or other branded practice in your market. You need to take a look at your office and challenge yourself and remind yourself of what you got into this practice for when you bought the practice, whether you acquired it, whether you opened the practice brand new, or you became a partner at the practice that you're currently in. Look at your practice, know what your brand is. Does your staff know your brand? Do they know the history of your office? Do they know why you became an optometrist? I think it's important that people look at their core values. What motivated them to do, what motivated you to be what you are, what you want to be, how you want to be. What are your brand standards? What do you expect? What do you want people to know about your practice when they walk in the door? Is it professionalism? How's your staff dressed? Is it, what are the aesthetics of the office? I will say this, over the past years, as more and more female professionals are owning their own practices, the aesthetics of the offices look a little bit better than that. Doctor, no offense to those of you out there, but you know who I'm talking about. When you opened your office in the late 70s, early 80s, and the wallpaper, and it might still be that same wallpaper there today, and it's peeling, but it functions, it's okay, who cares? Well, the patients do. So looking at your practice, from outside eyes looking in, make sure you're looking and making at your practice, making sure your office reflects you and your core values, your mission statement with your team, the whole 9 yards. Does your team know what your core values are? What the culture, are they living the culture that you want? Are you able to get people where they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to be through training and development? Do you have leadership in your office that you need, that needs to be enhanced? How did that manager learn? Did they just get put in the position because they're there? There are resources out there to help you. Look up Executive Management Program by Acquios Advisors. We have it's a 6-month program that's wonderful. The feedback we get from doctors and managers that have attended now our 3rd class. We just graduated our 2nd class. We have our 3rd class currently in process. We just had our graduation this past Friday, and the comments that some of the doctors shared was phenomenal. It was some of the best investment one doctor made. She's out of Kansas. It's on social media. I'm not going to say her name, but if you look it up on our Facebook page, you'll see Dr. Dawn. I'll leave it at that, and what her comment was. And she's a great client of ours. Been working with her for a while. But you need to look at how you can invest in your manager so that down the road, that manager is able to make sure your staff can do everything they can possible for your patients. And again, I go back to, we need to work efficiently. You need leadership in your office. In today's world, when we're paying the amount of money we are per hour to be able to have the right employees in place and the quality people you want in place to be able to take care of your patients, we need to make sure they're working right and you're getting a great return on your investment. But remember, you also need to invest in them to make sure that they can do as you want. You need to have eyes on your office. If you've got multiple locations, you can't have one manager over 4 or 5 offices. And yes, I see that from time to time in offices. There's one in the northern state, there's one in the southern state right now that I'm working with, that I'm actually going to be doing an on-site visit with one of them in the next week and a half. And part of the conversation at that office is going to be, or those offices, is going to be, how do we enhance, how do we find people we can develop from within to lead the offices that we don't, because the manager can't be in all locations at one time. If we could figure out how to clone people like we can clone meat these days out in the labs in California, great. As long as it can function right and make the office healthy and be strong for us all, that's great. But if it's only going to be a copy of the copy of the copy, we don't want it. We need to make sure we're developing people to live your culture, live your mission, and make sure they know how to help your patients grow. And is your manager empowered? Is your manager empowered? I think that is a key word when it comes to management. And many times in offices, there are people that have managers in place, but they really aren't empowered to make all the decisions they can. So you doctors might be paying more money to somebody than, to do what they should be doing, but you're not allowing them or giving them the freedom and to be able to make the hard decisions to take off your back. And because you doctors are so busy in your offices with the medical patients, with your comprehensive eye health evaluations, contact lens, dry eye evaluations, and dry eye treatments, along with myopia management, vision therapy, everything that's encompassed now in the optometric profession, you're busy, and you need to have that person in your office that's going to help lead the team, have eyes on the team, make sure the team is doing what they're supposed to be doing so that you're running a great ship and your ship is reflective of what you're looking for. The brands that you have represented in your optical should represent that of your practice as well. If you want to be an independent practice, you need to look like an independent practice. If you want to look like a franchise, then look like a franchise. There's nothing wrong with that, but make sure your business model matches your vision of what your brand is supposed to be. Keep making sure the patient care never suffers. You need to make sure that the manager that's leading the practice and leading your team understands the value of patient care. Because if there's one thing out there that makes your practice unique, it's you, the doctor, you, your staff, and the level of patient care that you deliver to your patients. That will never change. Even though things are evolving, we have things like AI coming into play. Be careful of AI. It wasn't that long ago I wrote an article, and I'll get it posted on my LinkedIn. It has to do with Easier is not always better. But I'll get that article posted on, I'll have it posted on my LinkedIn for people to look at and read. And I refer to how we always look for easy ways out, and wondering, okay, for example, I'll use labs. Okay, we'll use this lab because it takes this vision plan, this vision plan, this vision plan, that vision plan, and that. And that's what we use. We're on all those, so now it's only one lab instead of, even though this lab can do a better job on a special type of lens, I don't do what's best for my patient because it's not easy enough. If you have a patient with a -8 or stronger lens, would it not be best to find the lab that can do the best work for that order and is going to take the time to do it right, instead of, because it's easier, I'm going to order it from here? That's a chain mentality. That's a chain mentality, and we shouldn't be falling into that. As independent practices, you need to make sure you stay independent and you dabble in a little of everything to be what's best for your patients, because what's best for your patients can be best for your practice. So easier is not always better. So what started me on this is I brought up those 2 letters, AI, artificial intelligence. You will as my promise to you, you will never see anybody from Acquios Advisors send out something to a client that it was AI generated. I made it very clear to my team about 2 months ago. If you ever do it and I find out about it, you will be terminated. And I said it just that bluntly, because your people hire us for our personality. They hire us for what our ideas, not what AI generates and what it's learning from other people, because it's going to tell people things that aren't right. It's going to tell people, it's going to share information that's not correct. And if you don't do your own homework and your own research, you're going to have egg on your face with your patients, with your team members, and so on. So be careful of AI. Yes, it's here, it's not going anywhere, but be careful of losing your personal touch of what is in your practice and what is right for your practice. Just because it's easier does not make it better. Make sure you're always managing you're managing and investing in your practice. And if there's one investment that always needs to be made, it's investing in your staff members. That is your most valuable asset. Many people think it's an IPL. Many people will think my biggest asset is my OCT, my Optos, other instruments of some sort. That's an instrument. It's a one-time fee. It is what it is. Your staff is always evolving and growing. Your staff is evolving and growing, and it's making your office better, and it's making you better. It's making your life easier. It's making things more efficient. Invest in your staff. Take them to some of these trade shows that are going to teach them, or events that will teach them how to be better for themselves, better for your practice. And when you do that, you're going to keep your staff for a longer period of time and improve retention. That is key in this world. And I think we all ran into a really tough time during 2020, 21, and I'll even say early 23 in some areas, AKA the Northwest, Northeast, where people had a difficult time with staff retention or even getting good quality staff. I think we're past that. We're starting to see people coming back into the workforce that want to work and want to make a difference for you and your team and your practice and your patients. So now invest in those people, keep them for years to come. Keep that core group that's going to see you through to retirement, and make sure you're able to do everything you can. And with that, I want to thank you for your time today. Please feel free to comment your thoughts and shares at the bottom, down in the comments section here on YouTube. We look forward to doing this more, but I look forward to seeing you guys on June 13th and 14th, the Eyewear Art Walk. Look forward to seeing you there. Take care.